Adversity, bring it. The struggle, we welcome it. Snooze on life, never that. We are Dave Regina and Mike Pirelli, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on. Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 132. I'm in the booth with the big three. Michael, the show Pirelli, Claudio, the voice Valenzuela, and I am Dave, the body, Regina.
The Body Yaddy.
The Body Yaddy.
What song is that?
Body Yaddy, Yaddy, Yaddy.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I like that's going to be the remake.
Yeah.
The Body Yaddy.
Oh, Meg the Stallion? Megan
Mike the Stallion?
Mike the Stallion, there you go.
Speaking of, I'm full dad mode today.
You are.
Dad hat, the No Snooze hoodie, NoSnoozeShop.com. And I got my running shoes, which have not seen a lot of action.
Are those Asics? Are those Asics?
I went to Greenwich Threads and Treads.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, listen, for people who run marathons, what do you... I swear to God. And the guy like looked at me.
Give me the
He's
shoe.
like, do you run a lot? I'm like, not really, but I want the best.
I want the best.
And I was going to have you ever seen the Hokas?
No. Is that a movie?
How comfortable? They look like moon boots. You probably got a nice one. The ones they had in store were not nice. You remember back in the day, you go to like a basketball shoe shop, and what they had was not at all what you wanted. Like they had your like the style, the ones, but they were in weird colors,
Yes,
and you're like, oh, what am I gonna do with these?
Right.
That's how it felt when I went in there. And these colors are not my colorway at all. But I'm like, I came in, I'm committed to buying running shoes, so I'm
I
going.
thought those were Asics.
So
These are, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I have a pair,
he steered
by the
me
way.
away from Hokas.
Gotcha.
He said those real runners don't take those. Walkers take them.
So I have a pair, right?
Yeah.
And they are ugly. I'm not gonna lie.
See?
I do not wear them outside of the house.
See? That's what I was thinking.
'Cause before I got a pair, and they're super comfy. Like they're good for walking and stuff.
Yeah.
I used to always wear Asics or Saucony's.
These are so comfortable.
Yeah. But then I heard about this Hoka crap, and I seen them.
So
I put them on. I'm like, oh wow, these things are really comfy. But I would not get caught dead walking
in
down the
public.
street. Yeah.
Yep.
They are
They are
ugly.
so comfortable though.
But for the house, for the treadmill, perfect.
But
man.
as far as running shoes, I've never delved into the running world, and
Yep.
it's amazing what a shoe makes
Yes.
as far as like your pain.
Mm-hmm.
Wild.
100%. When I worked for Nike, there was a time that I was specifically in Nike running, if you remember.
Makes sense.
Right? Yeah, makes sense.
NSB, which I was thinking about. Oh no, not NSB. What was there? Is it NRC?
Oh, Nike Run Club.
Club?
Yeah, there you go. I feel like we've been doing this, man, the past couple episodes. Today we are going to talk about the art of not quitting. But before we do that, we do have some somber updates. I shared with you guys, the diagnosis of my uncle. Unfortunately, not even 30 days after the diagnosis of the stage 4 non-specific cancer, we actually laid my uncle to rest last week. So, rest in peace to Uncle Spen. Ben and Jake, my cousins, I was very tough the entire time in terms of holding my emotions together.
Yeah.
My aunt had set it up very nicely for us to have a private viewing with just the immediate family, maybe 7 or 8 of us. And of course, the family's still cracking jokes though. So I'm standing next to my Uncle Spen. I'm looking at him. He looked great, by the way.
Pretty incredible how they.
Yeah, seriously, that whole process is awesome. And obviously getting his body from Dallas to New York was a thing in itself. But so I'm standing there in a black suit, and of course, one of my cousins comes up to me and he's like, he's got the best Secret Service agent watching over him right now. So we were still able to have some jokes, but I ended up losing it when my cousin Jake and Ben got up to speak. Man,
oh my God. It's so, and when their voice cracks a little bit, you just like.
And
break
it's not,
down.
and the sad thing is that my uncle was literally the calmest, the coolest, just so supportive, and he was just a great man, and I have so many great memories with him. I actually used to fly down to Texas from the age of 10 to 15 and spend my summers down there.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, which was awesome. So the wisdom that he's instilled in me. And more importantly, my cousins, he'll always be with us. So it was just a quick journey, man. Not even 30 days, and he ended up passing away. So that's that. And then the second thing, though,
I was going to ask, who did the eulogy? The kids?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you done one?
2 kids.
Do you know?
No.
So I did. You came to the one I did for my grandfather?
Yes.
Dude, I've done best man speeches. I've spoken public before. I know you have. a eulogy is so hard. Writing it is emotional. Saying it and then looking around and seeing like the
emotions,
dude,
right?
so bad.
I know.
I was blown away. I didn't cry. I was so close. But as I get older and stuff like this happens and you start thinking about everything, I've had a trouble lately managing my emotions. I find myself like watching, like I was working out and I was watching the countdown between Caleb Plant and I think I've talked about it before in the podcast, and Canelo, and he talks about his daughter. I just started crying, like randomly. It was like 9 a.m. in the morning. I'm working out and I'm just crying in the basement by myself. I'm like, what is wrong with me?
Right.
But maybe it's a maturity thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, I think us being dads now, gives it a different outlook for us too.
I don't know if you have these thoughts. I'm being honest on the podcast today. I look at Livy sometimes, and Juliana also, but because Livy can communicate, I like think more with her. And I think like if all goes well, like I won't be around, she'll still be around.
Yes.
And that bums me out, but also like makes me less important. Does that make sense?
Yes. But that's always the hope, and
that's the goal.
To outlive your kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very sad stuff. And then also to, just give the update on Beef Brody from Tactical Baby Gear and his daughter Kendall. The diagnosis, we had spoke a couple weeks ago about the mass or the tumor that they had found, and it actually came back as neuroblastoma. And Mike has an extreme, I don't want to say closeness, but I guess it's a so it's an better understanding of exactly the process of neuroblastoma, because you've had somebody very close to you that
and they weren't directly like very close. It's one of my best friend's cousin son was diagnosed, and it's weird because at the time I was just starting on like this new job, but I had this thing of like feeling like I should help because I could help because I had like some type of a following. And for whatever reason, like 100%, I don't understand why I got so involved in it, but we helped raise a little money. We did like Wednesdays for Weston.
The socks, right?
Yep. Long story short, he is in remission and doing well, and we see him like at Thanksgiving every year, and he's like just a normal kid having a blast. Because of that, I met another guy, this guy Greg Pauletti, who I had lunch with randomly. Again, I don't have lunch with people all the time just because they reach out an instant like, hey, let's connect. But he was explaining that he had a daughter who had neuroblastoma, and he really appreciated us helping out and just wanted to meet me. Again, very random. Ended up being a great guy. He invests in real estate, so we had a bunch of different things that we connected on. And he's like, man, like I don't know what we're gonna do in the future, but like stay in touch. It had to be like 3 or 4 years, and then all of a sudden he starts this foundation. So it's right after I have the second child, Juliana, and I'm like overwhelmed. I'm like, I can't do a thing. Like I have too much going on. I'm leaving my company. And he reached out and he's like, I really want you to get involved. And something in me again was like, I feel like I have to help because I can help. And I have a presence in town, and like, this guy's great. I can't imagine what they went through, et cetera, et cetera. So I helped them with that foundation run and got even more involved. And like, it was a lot of time. And I wanted to quit, which I'll talk about like all the time. I was like, why am I doing this? It's like, I'm not generating income for the family, but it feels like I have to. Like I enjoy doing this for a good cause, and it is what it is. Then Beeve announces, I didn't even see it. Dana walked up the stairs. We were at home one day and she's like, did you see? And I'm like, no, what? And then she said, Beeve's daughter has neuroblastoma. And I was like, what are the chances? That's one of the only podcasts we were guests on, and we flew there randomly. We asked, we said, why were we on this? And you guys got through the system. We don't know. Swear to God. Great people. They treated us like we were Joe Rogan attending, right? They treat us great. Went out to lunch, et cetera, et cetera. So Dana, kudos to Dana, was like, you should connect all of them together, because they always say like, it's so scary and there's so many people giving you advice, but people who went through it can give you the right advice. So I called Greg and I'm like, hey, Greg, like I was going to call Weston's parents, but they're a little more removed, and Greg is like in it. He has the foundation, et cetera. So I called him. I'm like, hey, like one of our friends that we were guests on his podcast just found out that there's neuroblastoma, and like I would just love to connect you to. So I reached out to Beeve and I said, hey, like I don't mean to overstep, but like I would love to connect you guys. He knows all the best doctors in New York. I think at Memorial Sloan Kettering, they do a lot.
Sloan, right.
And long story short, they ended up connecting, and I think he hooked him up with some of the guidance. And I think they're in New York, right? Yeah, did they fly into New York?
I don't know.
Long story short, it's one of those things in life where I look back at all this time I spent that I just had this feeling like it was the right thing to do, and I it was just something like I don't believe in a lot of that stuff, but like a calling of like you should do this. Whereas a lot of times I don't do everything I should, and now looking back, I'm like, what are the chances? All these things happened, and these two people that live on, very different areas, different lifestyles, were the connection because of a podcast that I also wanted to quit. Like, because of real estate, I wanted to quit all this stuff that I'm involved in now, but somehow it all connected. And hopefully it's for the better, and we'll follow along. But just the thought of like it could make a difference.
Yes, absolutely.
It's pretty cool.
No,
and credit to you guys, because if we never had the platform, you never reached out, we never traveled there, this conversation probably never happened.
Of course.
Isn't that weird?
It is weird, but yeah, I mean, Beav is pretty public with this diagnosis, which it's tough in itself to be public with something like that. But I think if I were in that situation, I might as well, because I like receiving all of the well wishes from everybody. It just gives you a little extra, I guess, fuel, to fight this fire. But I mean, just looking at him with that picture and his daughter, man, it's a very eye-opening thing,
So yeah, if you're not familiar, go to Tactical Baby Gear on Instagram. He does a great job of posting. I will personally say, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way, like I like how he goes about his business.
Yes.
You really get to know him. You feel like you know Beav, even if you've never met him.
Right.
And the core group over there, like, it just seems like good people.
Yep.
So if you can, go support. And then on his post, it's #KickassKendall, #.
Yep.
And then, just, I mean, any type of words of encouragement, I'm sure help. I'm sure Kendall likes seeing it.
Absolutely.
But very cool.
Rough stuff, man. And this is,
don't you feel like it's been a heavy couple of years?
Oh, yeah. It's been a heavy, just a heavy.
Is that growing up?
I guess.
Do you think?
I guess.
Think about when we started the podcast, how not like boring,
but just different.
Like so different, like not real problems going on. Like, right? Think about it.
Yeah.
What did we really have going on?
I know. It's so true. Yeah, I would.
We're so busy. We can't do it.
Back then, I would be like, "Oh, my Peter Pan shoes that I have on now are hurting the back of my feet."
Yeah. I got a cyst on my foot.
Yeah, Mike has running shoes on right now. Yeah, and I have. Michael knows what these are. High five.
Those are Chelsea boots.
These are Chelsea boots, but with a little Peter Pan-esque point.
Little point, just in case he's got to fly away.
That's right. So speaking of fashion, and to lighten the mood.
Please, Dave.
It's
please.
Full blown, Michael. It is full blown mink season.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen, but the minks are out. I want to tag you in these posts.
You need to. I see the post and I'm like, that looks like Mike Tyson when he was champion of the world.
So I've never seen what is it? Man, I'm forgetting. No, so the responses that I got to that were just so funny, and people love making jokes and cracking jokes because listen, I enjoy wearing these things.
I know.
My dad though, he's like, buddy, this is awful. He's like, take it off. It's ridiculous. I said, Dad, I love you, but I'm 33 years old. I am ridiculous.
I do what I want. Can I level with you? You make it harder for your friends to go out with you than actually going out with you, because everyone comes up to us and they're like, what is he wearing? Like, and then what my response is all the time? It's just Dave.
It's just Dave, yeah.
Nine times out of 10 now, like all of Frank's friends in Boston ask me, like, what's going on? I'm like, it's Dave. And they're like, oh yeah, you're right. Like they understand now.
Yeah. But what is the reference that everybody kept giving me? It's a show, a very popular show. Hold on, I could pull
Must be a mob show, no?
No, it's not. It's kind of like a warrior with like, I don't know, like
Viking?
No. Let me see here. I could pull somebody.
Oh, Jon Snow.
No,
you're talking about.
I could pull somebody who referenced it.
House of Dragon.
No. What is it? Well, and everyone knows what it is when I say
we'll
it.
take this.
Not
time.
300. GOT, Game of Thrones.
I literally, House of Dragons, Game of Thrones.
Oh, gotcha.
Jon Snow.
So I actually had to Google.
You've never seen Game of Thrones?
No. I had to Google, and then the first picture that comes up is this dude with like slick back hair, and he's wearing a fox,
Jon Snow.
but like an actual fox.
Yeah,
like mine is.
Is that your
mine
next
is
purchase?
The fur? Mine is the fur, but I think wearing the actual animal on your body is a little much. I know people who do that though.
Part of me,
Peter will come get you.
Part of me is so excited to see like you post like going out my mink today, and then the next video be you covered in red paint. Some random person hits you. I might start tagging your location. Be like, Peter,
no.
Peter.
I'll be upset. I don't know how people could do that because honestly, unless you're a full blown vegan, you don't eat, you don't wear leather, like you can't really talk about that. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
I'm staying out of this.
You know what I'm saying?
Canceled.
But that's the debate.
I'm staying out too.
No, but that's the debate because people could talk all they want. But if I'm going to wear a mink or a fur, what's the difference between you wearing leather shoes? It still came from an animal.
I'm pretty sure
still
people that are
rocking it.
saying why you're wearing that are not wearing leather shoes.
Well, maybe not, but
sometimes they will.
Sometimes they will, and they don't realize. Oh, let me have a chicken sandwich. So let me eat that bacon. Where'd that come from, dude?
Let me have a chicken sandwich.
By the way, I thought they were referencing you in American Gangster.
That's a good one too. Frank White.
Lucas? No, Lucas.
I just got a whole bunch of
Frank Lucas
clapping emojis to my DMs.
It's incredible, and the angle at which you do the video, where it's like it looks like in a movie. Like, you definitely set up the shot. If you watch Siesta Key, which that's one of our guilty pleasures in our household, really lost it. Do you watch Siesta Key?
I have in the past, but
Gare was the biggest loss to that show. Yeah, what are you talking about? Like the way he talked was my favorite.
So you're him? What's going on?
No,
here?
I'm not talking about you.
Oh, okay, all right.
But they have a company they're starting with fake fur. Did you see that?
Faux furs?
Luxury faux furs.
Luxury faux furs.
Would you rock a faux fur if it looked legit?
I have one.
You do?
I do have one. That one was not, but I do have one. I think you could tell the difference.
I applaud you. For someone who says, like, I don't care what people think.
For ridiculous.
Or so for someone who says, I have a trouble with caring what people think and wearing a mink coat, I highly doubt it.
Okay, question. If I would set up a night for us and I let you wear one of the minks and we go somewhere where nobody's going to know you. We don't have to go.
I'd have to be very drunk.
But can we like legit go have a serious dinner as two men and two minks and like just go and just you be normal though?
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
I would need though. I think I'm more of like the accent of a fur on like a jean jacket or like another like leather jet.
Okay, something
that it's not all mink. Like to walk around all mink, you look like you're Madonna in your peak.
Damn, can I be Diddy?
Yeah, I guarantee if we did that, we'd be in a fight with someone immediately.
No, I don't think so. I think
that's true. There's two reactions to Dave when we go out in public. It's I want to fight that guy, or I want to see who he is, and I want to be friends with him. There's only two. There's no like I'm ignoring this guy.
That's been for a very long time now, unfortunately. But the fighting thing has gotten it's minimal now. It never happens.
Everyone follows the podcast.
That's pretty good.
Everyone's lovers.
You know what I've been a fiend for? Lately,
fiend. Okay.
Yeah, not a fiend for furs, but we always have a little food section here, and I've been a fiend.
Favorite part,
a fiend for good happy hours in town. Like there are high end restaurants, Hudson Valley Steakhouse. I hear that place Prime. Is great. Oh, it's great, but their happy hours are unbelievable. Dirty martinis, $7. Wings, the filet mignon trio for $18. I mean, it's
can't beat that.
That's what I'm saying. But I've been doing it like weekly now, going to like high end places though.
Yeah,
it was something I never really did, but it's great to dabble in.
Yeah, it's good little networking.
Yeah.
Especially speaking of fiending lately, I've been fiending for cigars.
Okay.
I've been diving back into that world. As I said previously, I'm optimizing for enjoyment this year. I'm gonna work hard. I'm back to the grind. I'm eating pork shoulder and chicken breasts, like very cheap meals, rice and potatoes. Like I'm not very fancy at home these days. Even that happy hour prices sound incredible. I can't afford it. I spend every last dollar into the business to hopefully have a good lucrative year, but right now it's tight. So I like started to dive into the cigar world, thinking through like, a lot of times it's being in the right circles. I have passions that I want to rekindle, and something that you're going to laugh about. The big thing for 2023 I want to do is I want to become more handy. I want to be able to put in a fence. CV has inspired me. Every time I walk through that friggin' gate, and I'm like, they built this thing. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think I can figure this out. So I went on a tear of researching how to install a aluminum or vinyl fence, privacy fence.
Yeah.
Apparently, you got to be below the frost line.
Yes.
Do you know what that means?
In the ground.
Correct, my guy.
Yeah.
My guy. So I was talking to Dana about it, and she, typical, like, I would love for you to be handy. And I'm like, all right, that's all I need to know.
That's all I need.
Let me get my tools ready. But I don't have any tools, so I gotta start something.
That's step one. Yeah, I'm not interested at all.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. I never was either.
Good luck to you.
But here's my thought process, right? And tell me if I'm wrong. I've had this thought before and I've quit, right? I've been like, it's not worth it.
Yep.
But looking back, it's because I haven't spent the time to do it the right way. I just want to get the project done in a day. Versus in my head, I'm like, maybe one day you pour the concrete. You do that correctly.
Mm-hmm.
You test in one post. Like if I take it low and slow, the Dave method, 10 pages a day, I think I can get there. And ultimately, if I do want a portfolio of residential properties and have this cool little like bar and things in my house, the reality is like you can't outsource all of it. You can, but you need the money, right?
Right.
So
Or the leverage.
But knowledge-wise, it's right within my focus of life in the real estate world. It's
Yes.
in that focus,
Yes.
and it will help. You know, if I go to a property and I little shake the fence, I'm like, yeah, they didn't go below the frost line here.
See, that's my fear with building things. And again, it's very ironic. My father cringes because my man can literally build houses.
See?
But I have zero interest. I've seen the frustrations, him having to do a whole project, stand back, be like,
It's not right.
that wall is backwards. And I'm like, oh, boy. And my man will just...
The ball is backwards.
But
like that.
there's nothing more rewarding
To
than
you.
looking back
To
and
you.
saying, I built that.
To you.
To
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah.
No.
Anything that
No.
you put your own blood,
Yes,
sweat, and
but you have
tears
to
into,
want to do that.
You're gonna be like, wow,
And you want to
I
do
did
it,
that.
to your point,
Right.
I will look at things that I tried to do, and I was not proud to say I did that.
Mhm.
But if you get to the point where your skill set's good enough,
Yes. You have to want that. You know, and
I think I want it.
go for it.
Wouldn't that be great if you had me as a friend? You're like, Mike, can you build me a
I have a lot
cigar
of
lounge
friends-
in my
I have a lot
backyard?
of friends that are
And
builders.
I could do it. Yeah, you do.
I know.
I'm low on the list, huh?
You know what's funny? I literally, my text just
I
went
need a
off.
hobby too.
My text just went off.
What's your hobby?
Read this second one.
Smoking cigars?
Read the just read the second one, but don't say who it is. But just read exactly what it says. I'm that guy for people.
Yeah, you should be that guy.
Read it out loud.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't want me to read
They're
it.
just
Hi,
not-
David. I have a question. Do you have a handyman contractor for work on a house in Yorktown that you'd recommend?
Yeah, Mike Pirelli.
I literally, you want me to respond?
I'm talking to him right now, but literally that text just came in. So yeah, I'm not the guy who can build you anything, but I probably have a guy who can build you something.
And like construction, life, it's all about the tools you have, which I'm learning. So me and my father-in-law, Joe Salvo, shout out Joe, even my dad to some extent, but he does plumbing. That's a whole nother thing.
What's the most important tool that you need to have?
For me, it's been a screw gun,
Negative.
hammer,
Negative again.
A drill,
saw.
Wrong.
No, but a screw gun's a
It
drill.
starts with a K.
a kangaroo,
Confidence. No, I'm just kidding.
Cali. You
Cali.
need Cali.
Knowledge.
Oh, yeah,
Wow.
100%. And I preach to everyone, go on YouTube, learn it yourself. And then I'm not taking my own advice.
Yep. That's funny. Yeah, man. Good luck. And then when you start practicing and you screw your stuff up, then come to my house.
When I'm done.
We'll make it right though. You know.
Man, something gets me going watching these fences go in. They're just
But
pristine.
the amount of time, and this is what social media doesn't show you.
How
and
long it
YouTube.
takes.
Yeah. It's like, watch this 2-minute tutorial on how to build a fence, and it's like sped up. doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, Everything looks perfect. And then you literally just spent 3 days trying to like even dig into the ground or something like that. That's not appealing.
So that's even like we broke out the pizza oven because Phil got one. So we went to his house. I kind of stepped in and helped out. I'm like,
Yeah.
I know how to my way around these things. So then the next day we had people over, and I was like, let me break it out again, see if I still got it.
Yep.
I forgot how hard it is to do, and you spend hundreds of dollars on the materials of everything,
Yep.
and then the pizza comes out and tastes like shit, and you're like, I could have ordered
Yeah,
one.
bought a
for-
nice pizza. I know.
Yeah, and I have all these connections with food in town,
Yeah.
and I'm serving people this crappy pizza.
Yeah.
Very demoralizing. Special shout out, Dana Pirelli. Finally, I've been brainwashing her like no one else. I've just put on food shows constantly and how to make this, how to make that.
Yep.
One clicked. It was lemon
saw.
garlic chicken cutlets, Frank Pinello, and something clicked, and she made them. They were the best. Listen, the best chicken cutlets I've ever had.
Wow.
She
Wow.
baked them, dipped them in lemon, garlic, and a little cilantro. I think cilantro. No, not cilantro. Parsley.
Parsley.
Little parsley. Dude,
They looked good. I mean, her picture taking skills aren't the best.
Don't tell her that.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But it looked really good though.
so I said, you know me. I was like, Dana, for 2023, your job is to get better at cooking, which I know you want to do. You just got to take the time.
Yep.
And mine is to become handy. And then she was like, I want to become handy too. And I'm like, yeah, let's both build fences.
Good. Dana's an elite baker for those who haven't.
She was.
Who don't know.
Well,
I don't think you lose that.
She doesn't bake anymore.
That's true. But she almost, like, I remember when she wanted to open a bakery. Like, she was that elite.
Yeah,
you know,
that's future. That's future game plan.
You know,
it's gonna be part of
all tying back together.
Part of the empire.
All right, instead of talking about pizza and all this stuff, go CV. Let them know where you get this protein at.
We wanted to take a quick second to let you guys know that we partnered with our good friends over at Orgain.com. We're happy to offer our listeners 30% off by entering the code NoSnooze30. Again, that's NoSnooze30 for 30% off your first order. If you're on the market for a new protein powder, nutritional shake, protein bar, or Mike's favorite, collagen peptides, Orgain is your one-stop shop. As all of you know, my Crohn's disease is currently in remission, and the only protein I use is from Orgain. My personal favorites are the chocolate peanut butter and the vanilla bean. With the code, you can try a 2-pound tub for under $20. Talk about not snoozing. Go get yours today. Now, back to the epi.
All right, Mikey. Today's topic is the art of not quitting, right? And I'm actually reading a book right now by the GOAT, David Goggins, called Never Finished, which is his second book.
That's a new
the
one.
sequel to the first book, Can't Hurt Me, which is it's next level stuff.
Did you see Joe Rogan read what he sent him on his birthday?
Yes.
Dude,
it's good.
I was laughing.
Yes,
and the way he
very
read
good.
it in his
he
voice.
actually did the forward for his book too.
Joe Rogan did?
Or it's on the back. What's it called?
The postword.
Something. I don't know.
Ooh,
Yeah,
TV,
but he's on the back.
The big author.
But for those who don't know David Goggins, I mean,
DG.
Yeah, he's
Here, bleep this out. He's a bitch. No, I'm just kidding.
He's
I'm
an
joking.
extreme,
Nothing.
an extreme level above the normal human, and an extreme level above the toughest human that you possibly know. Right? Like he's to the next level that honestly I don't even strive for that. You can't get there.
You took words out of my mouth. Is it counterproductive being that
almost.
insane? I think it is.
Yes.
No offense to him. He loves that life. Not for me.
Well, because he's trained his brain to be so much stronger than his physical body.
Yeah.
So he just keeps going, and he's like running on a broken leg.
Yeah.
But like dragging his leg because his mind is telling him not to quit.
He's like, this is his mind. This is his body. I'd like to be more like there.
Right.
Or
So
like here, maybe.
Right. So there you go. So today's conversation is David Goggins. Then you got
Quit
Mike
before you
Pirelli,
break a
Dave
leg.
Regina, and then you got like where you want to be, kind of.
Yeah.
So it's right about
Yes.
but you're still a long ways away
100%.
from David Goggins. But it's funny because I feel like more than and to CV's word before of knowledge, I think more than intelligence and money, the most elite individuals in the world have learned this skill and mastered their mind in terms of the art of not quitting. When I think of not quitting, this is just a personal thing, I feel very fortunate because I feel like I was brought up, my father has to this day an unmatched and an unrivaled work ethic to anybody I've ever been around, ever seen. Anytime that man was knocked down, and he's been knocked down many times in his life, he continued to get back up and to do it with passion. And he did it all for his family, all for some level of success, but to instill in his kids the importance of not quitting. Right? I think back to when I was actually 5 years old. CV, I was a soccer player. Believe it or not, I wanted to quit so bad. I hated it. But my father made me finish not only that game, but he made me finish the season.
You probably at the time didn't understand it, right?
I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Well, my man paid for the league. You got to stay in it.
No, he was a coach. He probably got a discount. He probably got the
That's a good
discount.
point.
But it was, I
great
remember though, like it was the sport. I hated it. It was there was no scoring involved, because you're young.
Well, you
and
stunk.
I was used to basketball. I sucked absolutely atrocious. Could barely kick the thing straight. Every time I would try to kick it, it'd go out of bounds or something. So I hated it.
It's because you had those Chelsea boots.
Yeah, my Peter Pans, wouldn't work properly.
You were trying to tell it. I was like,
Exactly. But, and I remember him after one game, him saying, when you quit on something, it becomes easier and easier to quit on something else. And the last thing that you want to do is to create a habit of quitting. And I'm like, I didn't understand this. I was like 5, but that was something. And he was my coach growing up in all my sports. And he would always say that to us. And it was a very, instrumental moment in my life that I remember wanting to quit so bad as a 5-year-old. And then eventually quitting after the season. But I had to finish the season.
Well,
though,
you
so.
finished, so you didn't quit. You just stopped doing it.
Exactly.
Which is the art of quitting.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
But kudos
quit,
to dad.
stop
And
doing
now, and I'm sure you can relate to this too, as a father and as a parent, I'm trying to do the same exact thing and instill that thought process into my daughter. And it's not teaching anything because he didn't really teach. He would say things here and there, but he would do. You know, it was the action that I followed. Yeah. So, like, I want Callie to see everything that I'm doing and her adopt. You know, the Kobe-esque, where he never forced his daughter, Gianna, it was Gianna, right? Mm-hmm. To actually work out with him. He just worked out, continued to work out at 4 a.m. She would wake up and then be like, Daddy, can I shoot with you? Mm-hmm. Daddy, can I come with you? And before you know it, she was working out at 4 a.m. with him. Yeah. You know? But yeah, good topic to talk about. Let's get into it.
100%.
Right? Talk to me.
Yeah, well said. My parents also were very big on that, dad especially. I remember a couple times in my life where I was like, this is stupid. Like, I'm wasting time. Right. Like, I'm not into it. I want to quit. And looking back, I probably could have left and not done it anymore, but it was good to stick it out and just see it to the end. Yep. Because then at least you didn't leave anything on the table. You finish what you started. Like, finishing what you started gives you the ability to reflect and say, all right, maybe I don't want to start something new similar to that in the future, which is a different versus like you're halfway through something, you just don't do it. Mm-hmm. Not quitting is not great when you eat food and you just kind of finish a plate constantly. Yes. So that's something you have to unlearn.
Yes, absolutely.
But for me, it's been this like lens of I've in the past realized that all successes and just life in general are just people who stuck it out most of the time. Like, if you ever get good at something, you're usually pretty bad in the beginning. And when you're pretty bad at stuff in the beginning, you want to quit. But the people that are exceptional or do well or it's a part of their life are the ones that just kept doing it. Yes. Which is very simple and easier said than done, but it goes for everything, right? So for me, I remember distinctly when I started my real estate career thinking to myself, like, I'm going to give yourself 4 years and treat this as an education, as if you're re-going to college. It's going to be hard. You might not make a lot of money, but you just can't quit, right? That was like kind of the thought process. And every time I was like, this industry sucks. Like, I had a rough day. A deal fell through. I wasted all my time. I'm making no money. This is so counterproductive. The thing I always thought about was like, in 4 years and 5 years, am I going to look back at myself and be mad? Is my future self going to be pissed? Say, I gave you the game plan. You just quit. You just didn't stick it out. And I found myself, whenever I had that internal conversation, I remember one specifically. I went through come to find out as you get older, there's times in the market that are slower. There's cycles. Mm-hmm. Everyone tells you that, but you don't really listen. You're like, yeah, I'm always going to be busy. Yeah. But from the end of the year, say Thanksgiving until the end of the Super Bowl, traditionally it's slower. You can stay busy, but a lot of stuff doesn't happen, right? So I remember I went through a real dry spell, like early on in my career, and I was literally at the front desk answering the phones 3 days a week, trying to make something happen, making no money. Like, I don't even remember what I made, but it was laughable, the amount of money that was coming in from my company. Love them to death, but the reason I was there was to learn. And I was Googling property management jobs so I could live for free and be able to afford to live, right? And I spent like all day looking it up. And then I kind of like sat there and I was like, F this. Like, let's go try to find a deal. Like, I'm not quitting. I'm not doing a proper manager. Stay focused. And then I think the next day I got a deal. And I remember thinking like that, you know, that meme where they're digging for diamonds?
Yes. Yeah.
That is in my head constantly because I'm like, one call can change my life. Mm-hmm. One call the next day can change the year. Like, it's just the next, like, you just need one break. And yes, that's true, but to some extent it's not. You just got to keep doing it. But every time I've wanted to quit and not quit, the next couple of weeks or months have been the most lucrative I've ever had. Yeah. But you go through these ebbs and flows where you're like, wow, like, I did great. I'm coming down from a really good year and I suck. I got no confidence. I'm not getting anything done. Deals are falling apart. I'm not getting money coming in. Like, why do I work 7 days a week if I'm not going to make like a good amount of money, whatever it is? And then you stick to it and you don't quit. And then the big deal comes. Like, one of the prime examples of this for me and I'm going to go personal, but career wise, was I tried to do commercial deals for 3 years. I got listings and I could not rent them out. And each time I got a little closer, and then I had a deal ready to be signed, and COVID hit. And I'm like, all the work I've done to just break the ice in the commercial world, 3 years of taking on listings and losing them, getting fired, and learning, getting a little better, getting a little bit, but still sucking. It's like you get in the game in a basketball game and you don't make a point for 3 years, right?
It's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad. Then you're like, all right, I'm in the game. I'm going to take a jumper. Like it's going in, and then the clock goes off, and you're like, what? The backboard broke or whatever. The scoreboard broke. Yeah. That was the feeling. So in my head, I'm like, what am I doing? F it. Like I spend hundreds of dollars being a part of this association to do this commercial application, and I haven't closed the deal. Then 3 months later, I'm like, you're stupid. You have to learn that there's a big opportunity. It's hard, but do not quit. Then I got my biggest deal to date that next month because another real estate agent was like, oh, Mike does commercial. I know he's younger, but I know he's going to work hard to find a deal. We ended up getting a $2,150,000 deal. And to date, it was my biggest deal commercial, right? So then I'm like, damn. Like, if I didn't stick with it and that person asked if you do commercial and I said no, I wouldn't have got that deal done, right? And you break the ice. So I'm not there yet. I hit a three-pointer, right? Yep. Like, I would say I was in the basketball game. We were down by 4. I hit a 3 to bring us closer.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I'm like, I can do it. So I didn't win the game. Then as I leave my career, leave my previous company, residential's gotten really quiet because of the market, the rates. And the only thing I have working is a couple commercial deals. And I'm like, if I didn't do commercial, I would have no deals this month. Right. But because I did commercial, I'm able to survive to get to the next month. And then in my head, I'm like, damn, like if I quit, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, all of this opportunity that's starting to come in and the vision's coming to life, like I still suck. I'm still a bench warmer. No, it's good to be logical about this. But like I'm in no means the star player. But I'm getting closer to that court. Yep. And once you feel it, it gets so much easier to not quit because you're like, I know I can do it. Like I hit a ball on the, hit a shot. I just need the ball. Like, give me the ball. Give me the ball. But it's so hard.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Especially when you suck for 3 years. Right?
Yo, as you're referencing this basketball stuff, so I don't think I've ever shared this because it's super embarrassing.
Well, you suck at basketball?
Pretty much. So that, my career ended in a good way. Like I finished high school.
How many points?
Over 1,000 points in 3 years.
Shout out Alyssa Salvo.
Shout out Alyssa Salvo that always likes to bust my chops. Bust my chops. But so I was at Greenwich High, and I think I was a freshman. I don't know if you remember Coach Burke.
Yeah,
right?
Hated him.
Oh, awful, terrible. I did not like.
He didn't like me.
He didn't like me.
Wait, listen. This is a positive podcast.
Yeah, but anyway,
I hope he's doing well.
Right, me too. But so I was excited. You're on the freshman team, then they bring you up to JV, and I remember I had pulled my hamstring in one of the tryouts. So like it was shaky because here I am, white boy from Mount Vernon. You're supposed to be real nice, but like you can't even get through the tryout because you pulled your hammy, right? So Coach Burke's giving me, a lot of stuff.
He was loud.
Right, very loud. So then I end up like getting on the team. But first couple weeks, like I can tell that like, I just didn't really fit into his mold, right? And again, I was playing up on the JV level. Yeah. So one game comes around and like I'm expecting not to play because I haven't played in, the whole season pretty much when it came to the JV. Always played freshman, but then when it came JV, you would get no minutes.
Yeah.
So I guess there was a ball that went out of bounds. They blow the whistle. He's like, Dave Regina, boom, get in the game. So I get in the game, and the play was for me. And if out of bounds plays in basketball, typically there could be like a play that's drawn up for a shooter to get like a quick 3-point shot. So mind you, coming off cold, like I know the play's for me. I inbound the ball. I come around a screen. I get the ball. I'm at the the right side 3-point line. I shoot it. The ball gets stuck in the rim. Sub takes me out.
Oh my God.
Yo,
Yeah, see?
like, you know what I'm saying? So I was devastated. When I tell you, I literally didn't. I never wanted to play basketball ever again.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
swear to God. And I remember cursing him out. Like
Yeah.
I was bad.
Yeah.
Because I should have never gotten this disrespectful with this man. But I
course.
remember like
Yeah.
feeling so embarrassed
Yeah.
and feeling like, you know what, I am quitting.
Yeah.
And I remember I spoke to this parent after the game. I'll leave them anonymous, but they made me shoot from that same spot about 50 times,
Yeah.
50 to 75 times. And I shot that ball very well. And in that moment, I remember saying, F this dude. I'm about to be the best basketball player that I could possibly be.
Yeah.
From that moment on, I turned it up a little bit. I ended up transferring schools and then became what I became in basketball.
Yeah.
But for me, I remember wanting to quit a sport
Yeah.
that I loved and I knew I was good at my entire life.
Yep.
It was crazy.
To your point on that story, like if you think about it, what parts of a story do you remember?
The bad parts.
The beginning and the end, right? Like, but you know how a story ends.
Of course.
But we say all the time, like, if you don't let it end, then that just becomes a part of it, and like a adversity part that ultimately doesn't matter.
Right.
Like it's helpful.
Right.
So there's been a lot of times in the same where there's been stuff where I'm like, I want to leave.
I've never thought about that story literally until now. I feel like, all right, so my cycle is this when it comes to quitting, because I've shared my business failures on this podcast before. You know, when it comes to the beard oil company, the hat company, like I've tried to do things that just I end up quitting on.
Yeah.
And I believe, you know, we differ on the meaning of failure, but to me,
Yeah.
failure is ultimately giving up. Right, that's how I interpret it,
Sure.
which is fine because it's the same sort of outcome. There's no outcome,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But so my cycle is I begin to get these negative thoughts, right? So the self-doubt creeps in, and I think at that time most people they end up tapping out,
Inactive,
right? But then for me, the self-doubt directly leads to anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that I've been able to do now through this personal professional development space is there's a saying that says action alleviates anxiety. It's very simple.
Triple
right?
A.
So I started to apply that. And for me, it's the only way that I can actually combat the negative self-talk, right? You can also look at it as a productivity pivot, right? Basketball, you know, you make a pivot, you go the other way. So a productivity pivot is a tactic that you can utilize that when you're about to quit or you have a negative thought in your head, you take action in the opposite direction immediately. So like I get the thought of, I don't want to go to the gym today. Boom, I go eat a healthy meal. I don't want to go to the gym today. Boom, I put my shoes on. I don't want to go to work today. Boom, I pick out my clothes. So it's something that I've become very conscious of. So that's one thing that's worked for me when it comes to not quitting. But then the other thing that really works for me is imagining that you were talking to your best friend, right?
Okay.
If your best friend was in a rut or your best friend was stuck or your best friend wanted to quit, we as human beings have all the knowledge necessary to be successful. But when it comes to ourselves, we can't take our own advice.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I started putting myself in the other person's shoes, but being myself, if that makes any sense, and talking to myself as if I was giving the advice to my friend. So the same way that I would expect you to get out of that rut is the same way that I would expect myself to get out of that rut as well.
Well, that's kind of why they say, like, if you want to learn, teach, because you like talk to yourself, basically.
Correct. What do you think the No Snooze podcast is all about? I'm trying to learn, so I'm trying to teach you. All right.
100%.
But those are the only tactics that I've found so far that actually help to not quit something.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think like there's a process that like you have to have experience in quitting, right? Along the way. What are you guys looking at?
I don't
You
know.
guys are confused.
Buddy was calling me.
Oh, got you. No.
You sound like a bear,
He's
he
not.
said.
He's not.
You stop breathing into the mic. This is good. Keep this in.
So funny.
Dude, Dana's been sleeping in the other room because I've snored so loud.
Oh yeah.
I can't
You gotta
breathe.
sleep. You
My
gotta
allergies
sleep.
are killing me.
You
I'm
gotta sleep-
listening.
You got to sleep on your side. Yeah, I don't even know where I was at right now, but that's all right.
Productivity hacks.
Yeah, no, I got you. But I think I was done with what I was saying.
Yeah, quit on that topic.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, no, it's one of the rules for me, and I don't know if you think this way, is I never quit on a bad day. So I'll never make a decision to quit something when you're emotional. Which you've said a lot.
I remember the thought that I had, though. I think you have to have
Give it to me.
You have to have experience in quitting to learn how to not quit, if that makes any sense.
Well, here's the thing. Everyone at this point in our lives, if you are of an age of like probably, I mean, more than 10 years old, at some point you've quit on something.
So all of our 8-year-old listeners out there.
No, but
hopefully
you know what I mean.
You guys haven't quit yet.
Yeah, whatever. The majority of the listeners probably quit on something.
Correct.
And that's not bad if it doesn't become a habit, like you're saying.
Yes.
But the filter for everything, at least for me, is like, is it in 5 years, am I going to care? And if it's no, like whatever it is, I don't know of a good example, but golf. Like, in theory, I basically quit golf for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care. Like in 5 years, yeah, maybe I'll be upset that I'm not as good as I can be on a meeting or something.
Yep.
But personally, like emotionally, like spiritually, I don't give a shit. Like, who cares?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'll stay at the clubhouse. I'll wait till you guys come in. We'll have a drink.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care.
Yep.
So that kind of through line has been important. The other thing I want to talk about, I think you need success in some form somewhat early on.
Yes.
I had these little pieces of success in everything I've done, specifically like No Snooze, the real estate world, tell Mike sent you. Like, there's been times where it's been really good and there's been progress, and I feel like I'm getting closer. Even if you don't achieve a result you want, that feeling of like, ooh, I'm sending mailers, but I got a call.
Right.
So it's somewhat working. The guy was pissed, but he called me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that expectation management, I think is important to not quit versus I want to be a millionaire in a year selling real estate.
Right.
You're not getting there, right? You might, but chances are no. So your chances of quitting are a lot higher because your expectations are out of whack.
Yes.
So managing like, am I getting closer to what I'm trying to do? Okay. Am I making progress? Yes. And if I'm not, can I tweak it so I make a little more progress and I don't feel like I'm in a rut? Like that whole self-talk, talking to a friend in stuff that's hard to do, that in the real estate world, the deals take forever.
Mm-hmm.
So like you'll have 3 months where you don't do anything. And you might start doubting yourself. You might be like, why am I doing this? But having, something appraise out, a call, a new client, doing a pricing report, all those actions help to say like, yeah, I'm not quitting because clearly stuff's happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen. I've proven that I've had low points, but I've gotten out of them.
Right.
But if you don't have that to look back to, it's very hard in the beginning not to quit.
Yes.
I think it goes it's really important in fitness.
Oh, absolutely.
If you don't see results or have some type of data, that's why I like the body fat percentage thing, because sometimes your weight doesn't change much,
Mm-hmm.
but your body fat drops. And just seeing a little bit of data or feedback with success helps you be like, yeah, I had a bad day, but like, look how far I came.
Right.
Like I can't quit now. Like you haven't come this far to come this far. Like, let's go a little farther. Let's go a little farther.
Yep. So now what you're referring to is actually something that I was thinking about as well in terms of they call it the dip.
The dip.
So when you are invested in something and you make the decision to like move forward with a project, a relationship, a business, whatever it is, you will see, if it's something that's worth your time, you will see an upward trend in some level of progress, right? The gym, perfect analogy to utilize that, because if you're, an obese individual or you got some weight to lose and you start hitting the gym, just that action is going to create some progress. But then comes the dip.
Yeah.
And now most people tap out when that dip happens, right? Even in the podcast. I remember when we first started, everybody is posting us.
Oh, I wanted to quit.
Everybody. Really? In the beginning? Oh, well, the very beginning.
With that
was before we even put something out.
The night, the lack of free
but I'm
feedback.
saying once we put out that first episode, right? Once we launched some merch, I mean, we sold 250 hoodies. There was. I remember the first month that we went active. I look back on the Printful. We sold like $2,500 worth of product.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, we didn't really make money because we were trying to pay back, whatever we had spent out. But then comes the dip, where yes, we're continuing the action, but not everybody's really posting you anymore. Not everybody's buying your merchandise.
Yeah, the nuance is gone.
But do you have the ability to get through that honeymoon phase, right? In a relationship. At the beginning, everything is all spicy and fun.
Hunky-dory.
Right. But then after some time comes the dip, right? And it's those who are able to get over that dip and keep moving forward, that ultimately reach that success. But a lot of people tap out in the very beginning when they see that first dip. Yeah. There's a concept that, especially when it comes to relationships, and specifically with my mom, start pausing, but not quitting. If it's something that is worth your time.
I like that.
So very transparently, I made a decision to stop talking to my mom when she was addicted to, substances. And I knew that I would talk to my mom again at some point. I didn't realize that she'd be 4+ years. Congratulations, Mom. Sober. What a great journey. But I didn't realize that she was going to completely shift her life. I mean, ultimately that's the goal, but I had to remove myself. And my intention was never to not talk to my mom ever again, but I had to pause and not completely quit on my mom, right? So I took some time away from her. She ended up, taking strides to make sure that she needed to do what she did. And then we were able to pick up the relationship. But the same thing goes in business, right? Or the same thing goes in a sport or a side hustle. You can take some time away and you can rest, right? There's a very good saying that says resting is a weapon that many of us fail to use, right? Because we quit. But in reality, if it's something that's worth your time, maybe you just need a pause, right? So it's a good thing to think about. And I think also when it comes to yourself and then other people around you, are you really being honest? I feel like there were things that I wanted to start, I wanted to do in my life, but I really wasn't being honest with myself. Like, I like the idea of the thing, but I didn't really walk myself down the true process and the true thought of what it would really take, and you minimize the I guess the percentage of you quitting on something when you have the ability to be completely honest with the truth and what it's really going to take to achieve any level of success.
So, well said. Do you think there's an element of when people walk away from something and pause, then they're intimidated to come back because they feel like they're starting up from scratch?
Yes. I do
because you're like, I worked so hard to get to this point. Now to come back to it and basically start from scratch again, that mindset.
I think you have to have passion, though, because if your passion is still there, then I would say come back to it. If your passion is gone and you're not interested, like golf, if you don't want to play golf ever again because it does more damage than it does good for you, let it go.
Or whatever, the invent time.
Be a quitter. Yeah. That's fine. Just go
but so the reason I ask is my fitness journey, right? Mm-hmm. There's been times in my life where I was really into it and I loved it. And it was like I had all this progress. I was doing all this weight. I was in really good shape. And then you have this dip of all right, started a career. I canceled all my memberships, didn't go to the gym. It was like, make this work. This is a new career. And I'll revisit it in the future. I took a pause, really long pause, 4 or 5 years pause. But I remember the thought of man, I'm so weak now. I got to start from scratch. I used to do this weight, no problem. Mm-hmm. That pridefulness is hard to get over. Yes. But what I'm realizing is that knowledge that I took and I reapplied it when I came back was super helpful to progress faster. Right? You might have gotten to the slow lane, but then when you get in the fast lane again, you know how to drive fast.
Yes. So
now that I feel like I'm in a place where I'm probably in the best mental form. I never did squats when I was younger, and now I'm doing squats consistently and enjoying the process. My habit of it and lifestyle of it is really ingrained in my life now. Mm-hmm. I look back at all the times that I had to kind of restart the progress, and find that it was all a process to get to this point where I can do something that's more manageable for me. Yes. So it wasn't all wasted because I'm not lifting like I did in college. I'm not going full meathead anymore. I'm lifting for compound lifts and power and less just curls nonstop and dips and things that are kind of not counterproductive, but a different goal. Mm-hmm. So what I try to do a lot of times is when I have a lot of stops and restarts, learning Italian on my app, I keep thinking to myself, you're not starting over. You're just starting with a more mature lens of what it's going to take to get a little farther. Right. And that's helped me restart things that I've stopped completely. Mm-hmm. Social media. Sometimes I got to take a break when I get overwhelmed and it just doesn't make sense with my timing or I get sick. And then when I come back to it, you have fresh eyes and you're like, all right, this time I'm not starting from scratch. I just have a different lens coming into it. You know?
Yeah. I mean, the gym is a perfect example, but I also like for me, I mean, for those who don't know my story, I was 153 pounds, you know, diagnosed with Crohn's disease, told I had to, you know, I'd never play basketball again. You know, they were going to take 20 feet of my insides out, you know, the whole thing. So like you want to quit. Yeah. Well, you got 28 feet of, you know, internal whatever going on.
I don't know if I got any of that.
So, you know, there were so many times in the gym that I wanted to quit, but a lot of us associate the gym with how we physically look. Physical fitness, you know, that's a result. The muscularity and, you know, you becoming a certain shape that you've envisioned is a result, right? But if that's the thought process, that's very external. Whereas you have to develop a deep understanding of what it is that you want to do, right? So once I realized in fitness that, wow, me lifting these weights, yeah, eventually, you know, maybe my biceps will get a little bit bigger, but I'm really doing this to keep going. Right, I needed to recover from a health condition. So one of the biggest triggers to Crohn's disease was stress. I started reading, and I also applied basketball. When I would play basketball, I would feel better. So when I started hitting the gym, I would feel better. So I realized that, okay, actual physical movement and me moving in the gym alleviated stress. So one thing was leading to another, and it was very beneficial. But I feel like you have to gain some level of deep understanding, because if not, and you're very superficial, like, hey, I just want to lift these weights so my biceps get bigger. Yes, eventually they'll get bigger, but there needs to be a bigger efficiency level to, I guess, what you're actually doing. And for me, that shifted, you know, everything, because now there's never a day in my life I might not want to work out, you know, for a day. So that might be me pausing, but I understand the bigger value of what it does, not only for me, but now how I can show up for other people if I just apply myself in the gym. So that's the fitness stuff. But I think really giving up, though, is a personal decision of yourself. You know, it's not a bad thing to have said, listen, I've given up in the past, but when you identify your lanes or your avenues that you want to go down in life, what are the things that you're going to personally say, listen, I know those external factors are going to make me want to quit. But when you're aware of those external factors and you're like, yeah, that's just a temporary circumstance, you never make the permanent solution to a temporary circumstance, right, by quitting. And again, there's plenty of things that we've quit on in life, but when you identify the important things, that's when you got to keep going.
Absolutely. I think it only becomes a problem when there's important stuff.
Yes, 100%.
Do you find power in the people who want you to quit?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I think that's a big element I don't really think of, because at the end of the day, I don't really care. Like, if I stop doing something, I honestly don't care about it.
Yep.
I don't care what the perception is, right?
Yes.
But if it's something I do care about and it would hurt me for people to be like, I knew he couldn't do it, 10% challenge, whatever it was, that's when the thought of like, I really want to quit, but think about all the people that would be like, I was right. You made the wrong decision. That little sometimes is what you need to get like dark, be like, fuck those people. And then you get back. Like, I think there needs to be a healthy bit of anger in a pursuit.
I'm laughing right now because in the book Never Finished.
Is that what he talks about?
David Goggins. I mean, this is next level stuff.
Am I David
right?
Goggins' son?
So he says most people people at his stature, right?
Yeah.
And not physical stature, but just where he's at from a public standpoint, right? He's very public. He said, most people, they screen their Instagram. When they see a negative comment, they have someone delete it. Like, they have an intern that comes in, deletes all the comments, doesn't talk about it, right? David Goggins said, I read every single one of my comments. And then also what I do
I should comment
is I make a recording of exactly what that person said, right? And he said, unbeknownst to them, what I do every single morning is I turn that motherfucker into a mixtape and I blast it into my ears and then I go on a 100-mile run. That's different. So
I like it.
But it's crazy. So this dude literally records his negative comments,
himself,
turns it into a mixtape over a beat, and then just starts running to it. That's crazy.
It's true though. Like
Michael Goggins, talk to us, please.
Michael Goggins. So there's so many times where like I put a lot out in public, as you know, and I failed a lot of things. I make the mistake sometimes of giving too much credence to the timeline because like if I gave myself the timeline of certain things, like tell Mike Sayone never do, because I said it 2 years ago and I never did it. And then I finally did it, right? No, I wasn't able to do it, but I didn't give up on it because I'm like, I know it's right. I know it's the right thing. Not another real estate show. completely failed my first attempt. I was doing selfie videos all day, every day, uploading clips. And then I had a meeting with Chris, and we both were like, it's not it. And I wanted to be like, F it, I don't need to do this. But I'm like, I know it's the right move. Like, let's just figure out a different way to do it. And in my head, I was like, you know how many people don't want me to like keep up the pace I'm at? Because the kids. Because everyone's like, you can't keep doing it.
Because they didn't.
Correct. Well, not only that, I just think people get uneasy with you going and pursuing stuff.
With high productivity people.
Yeah, even but just like the fact of the not caring and just going after stuff.
Yes.
Like, I think a lot of people, and it's not, I don't think the life's for everyone. I had an honest conversation with Dana, and I said to him, like, you think, like, I like the way I am, but it's a burden. Like, to not be able to relax is not fun. Do you ever feel that?
Absolutely. But I also think that you're touching on something that is very important. And I believe to not quit, though, you have to develop grit.
Grit's
right?
a good word.
Now, grit, though, is not a personality trait. Grit is a lifestyle.
I think stubbornness is somewhat a personality trait. And I think some of us are like
Yes.
Dave, you're very stubborn.
Yes, 100%.
I'm pretty stubborn when it's certain things.
Yes.
CV, I'm not saying it. You could say it.
What? Very stubborn. Yes. But so
Which is nice, good.
Grit is different, and it's a lifestyle because it's knowing that even in the darkest of times, you know that fire that's burning inside you is going to outlast whatever darkness is going on right now. Right. And it's not until you go through some sort of, trauma, some sort of, the loss of a job, the breakup, the whatever it is in your life that's going on, it's gritty people that are able to look past that and keep going. And I think it's one of the most important traits. The important lifestyle. It's a lifestyle trait, right? It's not just a personality thing. It's not something that's temporary. You're a very gritty dude. And that's why I think you're able. You're looking at me all funny.
Thank you.
I think you're a gritty dude because you're like, yeah, you know what? Even in the shit, I'm still gonna move forward. I know it might not be my best product, but you know what? I'm putting it out.
Yeah.
And I think that is a huge difference maker for people who end up, giving up versus not.
So one thing that you talk about David Goggins, he has like his mottos that he screams all the time.
Yeah.
I've found lately that I'm leaning more on that and like the anger side because it's been so hard, where I call it getting the fuck it in your system. Like, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to do it. And whatever happens, happens. I think that like release of the pressure, of the anxiety of the outcome, and that just F it. We'll see what happens. But it's going to be, if I'm going down in a plane, I'm going to be pouring a drink. Like, I'm going to do it the right way. So that's kind of where I did a turn of like, I was letting the anxiety and like the worry of failing catch up, which I never really care about. And then I realized that, and now it's become like gonna shock the world. Like, I don't know if it's a boxing movie, but like he basically keeps saying we're gonna shock the world, we're gonna shock the world.
Is that Rocky Balboa?
I don't know what it is.
Come on, Dave.
But it's a motto that I've said in the past where I don't know where it comes from, but the thought of like doing stuff that people don't think you can do is probably the most satisfying thing in the world.
Yes.
For me. Do you feel that way?
Yes, absolutely.
When people are like, you can't do that, you can't, and then you go do it, and they're like, I can't believe you guys did that.
Yeah, so I agree to a certain extent, but I wouldn't say that it's the most gratifying in the world. I think for me, my most gratifying moments are looking back at things that I personally wanted to stop but kept going on.
Gotcha.
Like, I wanted to, the current job that I'm in, I remember being like, yo, you're good. Like, you're still the assistant commissioner. Like, no one's like, you don't have to go anywhere. Don't like force yourself out of this.
Yeah.
Right. But then I was like, nah, F that. Got a little gritty, kept going. I mean, a year later, but ended up, getting that job. But it's moments like that I look back, and that's the most gratifying thing for me is my own doubt that I was able to prove wrong.
Have you ever been to a point in your life where you're like, maybe I won't pursue this stuff as hard, and I'll just kind of be like content with kind of being status quo? Because I had that. I had an honest personal conversation with myself coming out of college and like starting real estate, and I thought to myself, I'm like, it would be a lot easier if I didn't really have these aspirations, both on my personal mental, on my family's mental. And I remember for like a day being like, yeah, I'll try, I'm just going to kind of be happy and like not try to pursue things. And I remember saying F that and being like, I'm going to go for it, because I would be mad at myself if I looked back and be like, you packed it in. Even if I was happy, even if I was content, we had a great, if I didn't do what I wanted to do and really didn't give it a swing, didn't even get up to bat, I would not be able to look myself in the mirror and be happy for anyone. So I remember having that convo, almost doing it, and then regretting it immediately and being like, F that. And that's why I think I doubled down now.
That's good.
Is because I was close to just giving in, because I had some successes but never really broke the ice. And then I was so discouraged by like, because when you work so hard and you don't get the results and the people around you, and it's not a jealousy thing, it's a logical thing. People around you do better and you're like, I know I'm working 7 days a week and this person is packing it in and living a very comfortable lifestyle. Am I the sucker? You know, you have those thoughts.
Yep.
And multiple times I have to tell myself, no, it's the game's not over. The game's not over. We're not comparing ourselves with other people, but I do sometimes check in and I'm like, I'm not jealous of you, but like maybe I'm the asshole that I'm working this hard, not making a lot of money, you know? Like when everyone was working from home, all of COVID, and I was out showing properties 7 days a week, running like a maniac, and people were working from home collecting a check. I was like, maybe I'm an asshole. Do you ever think that?
Yeah.
That's a hard thought that I've had to struggle with. I've gotten over it. But sometimes when you're not doing well, that thought creeps in and I'm like, damn, maybe it was all wrong. Maybe I just should have been like very corporate and not left.
And that's when the productivity pivot, boom.
That's when you got to double down and be like,
it is.
You know, F it, you're not right. Like I'm wrong. You got to go show why you did this. Like prove yourself right is kind of the thought.
Right. No, beautiful. Well said. And I think also,
that being said, I'm quitting.
Yeah, I'm done. I think, you know, ironically, I think success is temporary as well. I think we can't,
100%.
the same way that we can't dwell in failure, I think we can't get caught up and dwell in success
Your boy
too.
McGregor, isn't that his quote?
What does he say?
He said, you definitely can't sleep on a loss, but if you sleep on a win, you're going to wake up with a loss.
It's so
Something
true
like that.
because, you know, any level of success that you reach, you know, even for me, if you told me the same dude that was caddying on a golf course, working for $12 an hour, trying to afford a $1,200 apartment with all hand-me-down furniture,
has a mink
coat, the rollie on the wrist. No, but seriously, you know, from a serious standpoint,
Sorry.
you know, I get you, but to invest, and this is not a brag, but if you really told me 10 years ago that my life would look like this right now, beautiful daughter, beautiful house, I can travel when I want to, right? I have an investment property. Like I have so much more to go.
Beautiful co-host.
But if you were to really tell me that, I'd be like, yeah, I'm good. I'm super content. Yeah. But the reality is, even at that level, we always want more. You know? So now it's like making sure that you don't get caught up the same way you wouldn't get caught up in the failure. Don't get caught up in the success.
Yeah, and I think it's not only for more. It's just like I like to pursue things. Like that's an activity I enjoy. It does create more stress in our life, but like, what's the point of like going through this whole thing if you're not pursuing stuff and like enjoying some type of journey?
100%.
You know, like why not? I mean, you don't have to. Like if you have a very thing that you enjoy, like do what you enjoy. It just so happens for me, I like business. I like real estate. I like trying to build like something like this. My personal approach to life is like I want to experience it all, and to experience it all, you have to be successful,
and you have to have bigger calves.
I was just gonna say. So you were. Thank God you mentioned this. If and when I pass away, I might tell them do open casket, face down, calves
up. That's amazing.
And then people can kiss my ass on the way out.
That's very good. No, that's beautiful. So listen, my coffee is cold. I know we're coming up on time. So this will bring us to my favorite section, Dave's Dime of the Week. Michael.
Dimes. Sorry, I thought it was Claudio calling me again. That's like legit. You know when they do that, they're like, yeah, do it again.
Yeah.
Have a button.
No, so this one, it comes with
you still got dimes.
It comes
you know
with
how many dimes you've given?
It comes with a little story too, but this one is very short. This one, Michael,
grab your popcorn. Here we go.
Grab your popcorn. Get ready. Sit back. Enjoy this story here. No,
if you're not lifting 3+, you can't hang with us.
That's right, baby. I like that.
3+.
I know. I see you.
305 times 3.
Michael can understand this one because
Three.
it's very simple. So he's not going to get tongue-tied and confused over
Let's
here.
see.
All right?
Let me write it.
Goes like this. Enthusiasm. Enthusiasm?
That's not it. That's not it.
Oh, wow. Leave that in.
Do you have a horn to hit?
That's
It's
not
like,
it.
It's like spelling bee.
Okay, good. Enthusiasm. I'm laughing so much right
good.
now. Oh, man.
You delivered it with confidence.
CV, I know. Please leave that in, too. All right. No, serious.
Enthusiasm.
Holy shit. I give it
That's a dime.
That's a Davism right there if I've ever heard one. You know, I try to convince people that I say shit right and I say it completely wrong.
Dude.
That's because I'm stubborn.
I love catching you in those. Like, especially in public.
Mike said, that's not it.
That's not it.
That's not it.
It's just going back to relinquish.
This shit, we'll have conversations with people and no one catches it. And I'm like, did you hear what he fucking said? Because you say it with such enthusiasm that people think it's like real.
Wait, did that whole relinquish thing go out? Did anyone come?
Yes. Well, first
what
of all,
did they say?
Well,
Was it
people
correct?
were posting. So people post, like just them in the gym relinquishing control, but it was just very funny.
Yeah.
It was very funny.
So do we get an accurate?
It's relinquish.
No, it is not.
That's not it.
What is it?
Are you serious?
I don't
Relinquish.
consider myself an English.
Quish.
No, it's not quish. Relinquish.
Relinquish.
No, it's not
I think
relinquish.
you might be right.
Relinquish?
I don't know.
Whatever.
Anyway,
I thought you
enthusiasm.
put a poll out
Get
there.
back to
We
the
need a
dime.
Let me give you this
Poll.
time. Seriously. All right.
People text me, where's my dime?
I know.
It's coming.
I know.
He's coming.
Enthusiasm is common. Endurance is rare. I remember walking into, and this is something I quit too, ironically, karate. Right?
Thank
I
God.
walked into karate and I ended up quitting. But I remember the sensei, saying a black belt is only a white belt that never gave up.
Beautiful.
Which is serious because I think you go, what do you go? White, yellow,
Here we go.
orange. No, I'm serious, but like you go white, yellow, orange. But I remember like getting to like
Purple.
purple or green, and then
Red.
like I ended up quitting. But
What,
anyway,
how far did you get?
It's no, it's green. No, white, yellow, orange, purple, blue, green, maybe.
That's how far you got?
Yeah, I was.
Wow. How old were you?
How
old
like
were you?
12.
Oh yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah,
You were
no, I
you
was
weren't
pretty good
kicking
though.
anyone's ass.
No. I was pretty good though. But anyway, it's a very
My sensei.
it really rings true now. Especially just looking back in life. It's only the people who have the ability to really keep going that are successful. Like what you were saying,
Outlast.
and it's very simple.
Sometimes you're the only one left.
right?
That is so. You nail. This is if we can't leave you with anything. I was at multiple companies. I swear to God, and everyone left. I was the only one left. So they were like, "All right, we have a lead. Who we give it to?"
Mike.
Only guy sitting there, right? They're like, "I guess Mike gets it."
There you go.
So sometimes the advantage is just being the only one left.
Just be there.
Just show up,
Show up.
right?
Yes.
Has there been things in your life where like it's just because you're around? 100%.
Absolutely.
A lot of times.
I'm trying to think. Honestly, I got my car. I mean, I got my Jeep Wrangler because I was the only dude left in the dealership. Like
Yeah.
the owner, I literally
Give him a deal.
I negotiated with this dude, and then I ordered lunch on his tab. I ordered dinner on his tab as well, and then like I wouldn't leave.
Yeah.
And I remember Karina at the time being like, "Yo, like this is
We
crazy. You
gotta
gotta
go.
get out of there."
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm
Yeah.
not leaving until I get the deal.
I'm
that they
not
told me over the
leaving.
phone. So, yes,
like it.
absolutely.
So stay in the game. Stop being soft. Don't talk to your inner B. Don't
Yeah.
swear, but that's a Goggins quote.
And
My
listen.
neck is looking a little thick. I can get back on.
Listen, don't quit like us. I'm not the karate expert that I should have been, but
You might
hopefully that enthusiasm is
enthusiasm.
leaves you with something good. So guys, we thank you very much, and until next time, stop snoozing.
Start quitting. Get up and get after it.
Enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm. That's the title of this episode.
That's another Epi in the books. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at No Snooze Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze.